Captains of Industry, brought to you by Airtel.
Welcome back. I'm talking to lifelong Saatchi employee and ad man behind M&C Saatchi, Mr. Moray Maclennan. Moray, in the current economic climate, things have been tough, especially in the advertising world. What sort of challenges are you up against?
I think we're up against, in some ways, the same old challenges, because our job is to provide growth for our clients. That's what they pay us for. They give us business issues, we come up with strategic solutions, with communication solutions that provide growth for them. To do that, you need to do that efficiently, you need to be constantly thinking of new and different ways, messages and medium to do that through. I think what happens in an economic downturn is that becomes accelerated and exaggerated. So the client knows if it continues to do the same thing in an economic downturn, things will get less good. So they're always looking for new solutions, new ways of operating, and I think that's helpful for a newcomer like us, though, because they're looking for change, and we represent change. I think one of the interesting things in our business is two things came together, though. You had the global economic downturn, and it's taking another little dip, as we know, today, and probably for the next 6 months or so, in my view. We're not going to come out of this downturn for a while. Almost getting used to it is the only good thing. It's almost become sort of accepted trading conditions. But we've had that going on, and at the same time, we've had the revolution in digital media. So it's like the perfect storm for agencies. You've had cutbacks from some clients, and our job is often to persuade clients that to do nothing or to do less will probably result in less growth and them going backwards. So we need to do that, but we also have, at the same time, we have this ability to use different media, the new media, to do things more efficiently and to do things differently. But we've had to deal with both. It's been a tricky time over the last 5 years for all communication agencies, but I think everyone, not just us, I think everyone's getting used to it. I think it's settling down a bit.
You're a global network. You have 72 hubs in 70 countries. You've just opened offices in Russia. What is the key to your success?
I think talent. I think that what we look for is talent. And if you get that and if you put good people in a good environment, they'll flourish. And you put good people in a bad environment and they'll die. You know, I've often seen it in our case. You can have a brilliant copywriter who's had the last 3 years writing fantastic work, and then he moves and he goes to a culture where he doesn't flourish and he doesn't produce any work for 3 years. And so I think producing the right environment for people to flourish and to give them permission to think the audacious. You know, our mantra that we evolved at Saatchi & Saatchi and we've carried forward to M&C Saatchi is nothing is impossible. And it's almost a romantic belief in the power of an individual to make something highly improbable actually happen. And it comes from the brothers, I think. You know, they were Iraqi immigrants, Jewish immigrants, and arrived in the UK at the age of 7. Before they were 30, they had the biggest agency in the UK. Before they were 40, they had the biggest communications company in the world. So of course they believe nothing's impossible. And it's because they believed it that they managed to achieve that. So that's what we try and imbue in everyone that we employ and that we team up with. And I think it's that belief. As I said, it's almost a romantic belief, and that drive that you can achieve anything, if you put your mind to it and you have the right talent. I think that's why we've done reasonably well.
Your entrepreneurial approach in the international markets is quite something. How do you align all your offices with one philosophy while dealing with the requirements of each market?
Because I think there are certain enduring truths. I mean, our business is all about being unpredictable. It's all about being original and coming up with something first. It's also nowadays all about adapting quickly, changing, embracing new techniques and new media. But there are some enduring truths that you have to adhere to when you develop work. And then there's no great secret. It's that you need to have better insight into your customers than anyone else. And if you get closer to people and you understand them better, that's the sort of raw material to start deriving the right communications strategy out of them. So I think the broad picture that we try and establish within our offering is we need to create a culture whereby you can have the best ideas, the most original ideas, the most striking ideas, the most talked about ideas. If you like the art, the creative bit. At the same time, the other principle that we try and get all of our offices to adhere to, and it's in the Saatchi gene actually, is a belief in selling, the commercial end of creativity and what we do. You know, I remember working with Charles Saatchi and him saying, okay, here's your task, the best car in the world, picture of a Rolls Royce and a price, write me a better one. And by a better one, what I mean is something that will sell better than that. And I think, you know, we try and encourage people when they meet clients to ask, you know, their first question should be, how are sales? We enjoy selling stuff. And so I think in today's world, that's more sophisticated than ever. So it's the world of data, analytics, accountability, analysis. And that's not going to go. That's not going to go away. You know, it started 10 years ago, and clients are not going to wake up tomorrow and go, do you remember all that accountability and data and analytics thing? Let's just go with our gut. That's only going to get more so. So interestingly, for an agency, you need to be able to be better at the art and better at the science within one culture. So yes, we celebrate the differences within all our agencies and the cultures and where they've come from, which are different places. But what they want is a degree, and they want a degree of freedom. But you just have those guiding principles to make sure that you all form a cohesive whole.
You've got offices in South Africa. Why did you choose to invest in this market?
I talked to Mike Abel, who runs our office here, when he was running our Australian office in Sydney, and said, I want to open in South Africa. I didn't envisage doing it with himself, as it happens, at the time, but I wanted to use his expertise. And the reason I wanted to open here is because I said earlier that it's about finding the right strategic markets and the right talent. It was clear to me that South Africa was a strategically important marketplace. And I think we backed that up with the dollars by investing more heavily than here than certainly the vast majority of our startup offices with real talent. And the reason being simply to be a credible international player, you need to be on all the continents and you need to be in Africa. And Africa's moved right up the agenda recently in terms of most multinationals. It's almost like, okay, we've got over the BRIC thing, and now Africa has moved right up the agenda, and South Africa is, to me, an obvious gateway through to Africa. Even in my early days working on British Airways in the 80s, I was always impressed with the level of creativity. It was always one of the top markets when it came to the product. So to me, it was the first place I thought of in Africa in terms of developing our creative hubs.
So do you have plans to extend through the continent?
We do. I mean, I think, again, our model is not to have as many offices as possible, but almost to have as few as is necessary. So I think what will happen in Africa is we'll see what happens in the next 6 to 12 months, see how our client base develops. If there's a necessity, we could look at, for instance, Nigeria. Maybe one could develop a partnership there with a view to maybe an acquisition at some point. But that's not an intention, that's as required. I would like to think we could service Africa out of South Africa, given that the northern coast is looked after out of our Middle East office. North Africa and Middle East is a different region for us. But we'll see over the next 2 years, but it's possible.
And what sort of obstacles do you expect?
I think I said earlier that we need to find people we like, trust, respect, and think are good. And if we don't find them, we won't open.
You've recently acquired the social media company Human Digital. Is this where the future of your company lies?
No, I see it as an integral part of the company and an important part of the company. I talked earlier that we're a startup-based business, which we are. But we also make tactical acquisitions, especially in the new media spaces, to get ahead of the curve. So we did that in mobile, and now we have an extraordinary mobile capability, and actually quite an extraordinary one here in South Africa. But in the social media is the most dynamic area within our business. I know that because there's been a Chief Marketing Officer survey globally recently, And it was by far, it led the list of disciplines in terms of where they were going to make a dynamic difference to their business and where they are likely to change their agency relationships as well. So it's a happy hunting ground. It's something that everyone wants to know about, wants to talk about, and we wanted to go into that area, but with a difference. So we found people who had we think, a superior offering in that space in terms of analysing what you, the client, should do. And I think with some clients it'll be at the heart of their communication strategy, and again, others it'll be peripheral to their marketing strategy. As far as we're concerned, it'll just be one of those services that we stretch across our network together with mobile, sports and entertainment, PR, and social media.
What are the major drivers of success for the company going forward?
I think holding fast to the basic idea. It was something that Jeremy Sinclair, who founded Saatchi & Saatchi with Charles Saatchi, who still works for us, wrote on the board once when he went away for a couple of days. We were right in the middle of an election campaign, a Thatcher election campaign. Things get pretty heated in election campaigns and people can do extraordinary things. You're all lined up ready to go. Someone fires the gun and all the politicians run off in different directions. And our answer was, the economy. Don't deviate. Someone wants to know about national health? The answer is the economy. And so written up on the board before he went off, almost graffiti-like, was hold fast to the basic idea, don't give in to the pressures of the moment. And I think that is what we need to do in terms of, that'll be the key to success for our company moving forward. We need to be strong enough to do that and make sure we're not blown off course. You know, I think we have the right culture, the right beliefs to succeed. And so we just need to hold fast.
So what makes a great agency?
I think a combination of extraordinary people who can dream the impossible, but also with the rigid business discipline within that to make sure that we deliver for our clients and it's accountable. But you need to have a touch of the romantic belief as well as the business acumen.
Unfortunately, that's all we have time for today, but thank you so much for joining us. You've heard it from the ad man himself, Mr. Moray Maclennan, CEO of M&C Saatchi worldwide. I'm Ashley Evans for this week's edition of Captains of Industry.